Alright, you guys, you're gonna tag along with me today. We're gonna go show you guys how to drive a Hellcat. So as you saw there, that's how you start it up. And this video is dedicated for those who are my viewers that have not driven a Hellcat. So push button start, starts right off, and then with me I go to the SRT page right away, to the SRT dashboard, to the drive modes, and put it on custom mode. So my custom mode is 717 horsepower, transmission and sport, and paddle shifters are on. There's a cop there on the pickup truck, so I don't want to go rip it. And traction on street, suspension on street, and steering in sport. I probably need to change the suspension in sport because it gets a little bit bumpy. Anyways, this is when you're driving a 700 plus horsepower vehicle, you gotta have a lot of respect for the power that it brings. Since I've owned a lot of Mopars, I have a lot of respect for all of them. I don't think you can even test drive a Hellcat if you want to go buy one right now. And if they do let you test drive it, it's more likely you're gonna probably have to put a deposit. Because of the joyriders. Can't blame the dealer for that. So let's get into it. How do you drive a Hellcat? You drive it, number one, with respect. Number two, know your limits, your driving limits. So don't push it right away and go crazy when you don't know if you can handle it. Okay, so why do I say that? Because the go pedal, as I call it, or the accelerator, just a little tap, it gives you tons of power. And it's not the horsepower, it's the actual torque. So this has 650 foot-pounds of torque. And if right now there's a red light, and if I just mash this thing to the floor, this is gonna light up the tires and it's gonna go sideways. So if you're not ready for that, you're most likely gonna crash in that pole over there. Don't do that. So just tap it gently like this. That's not even 1/4 throttle, and we're going. And you hear that beautiful supercharger whine. So that's how you drive it, with respect and with the thought process of your own driving capabilities and skill. So it's a great car to drive. It handles great. So if you have this car on sport steering wheel, the steering wheel is heavy. This becomes really heavy, heavier than most cars. You kind of have to put an effort to steer it around as compared to your regular run-of-the-mill cars. Suspension, if it's on sport, which I'm probably going to switch it right now to sport. It's not going to allow me until I'm stopped. So suspension on sport. Now this has got adaptive suspension, so the suspension now is going to think that you're doing something sporty, so it's going to stiffen up. The roads here in town are really bad, so it's going to be a little bit bumpy, and sometimes too bumpy for my passengers. But you just have to drive it and make sure that you respect it. Number two, the brakes. I know it's got Brembo brakes, and if you have not driven a car with Brembo brakes, I cannot pronounce anything today. Brembo brakes are grippy. They grab right away. So in that sense, be ready when you step on the brakes. It's gonna put it, it's gonna grab it, it's gonna stop. So sometimes you can get grabby that your passengers can get dizzy from the bobbing of their head when you brake, and then you accelerate and you brake. So try to drive as smoothly as you can. So the accelerator, I would say treat it like there's a hard-boiled egg in there. Not, you know, they say when you're driving in the snow, you put an uncooked egg in there, so you're throttling gently. This one hard-boiled egg, because you know you still don't want to break it, but you can put a little you know, force into it, but not too much. Otherwise, you'll just go crazy. And I think I did pass where I'm supposed to go. Anyways, I'm gonna keep driving. So those are the things that you have to think about when you're driving the Hellcat. Second is, make sure you adjust your mirrors properly. That's the third thing, is to adjust your mirrors properly so that you can see all around you 360 degrees. Because you know what, lots of people notice this car and it's got a lot of road presence. They're by, they want to check it out. Some, you know, it would not be surprising today if someone comes close and takes photos of it, take a video of it while they're driving. So when they do that, you know, it's hand-eye coordination, and they're gonna go, you know, close to you, and sometimes it's a little too close. So you have to watch out for those. That's the bit of a problem when driving a Hellcat. Thirdly, I think I got my numbers jumbled. Anyways, one other thing is that everybody wants to race you. I don't care what it is. Jeeps, Civics, Nissan Altimas, pickup trucks, they just want to race you. I don't know why. They probably just want to hear exhaust or supercharger whine, what have you, but everybody wants to race you. So you gotta be ready. You need to be ready. I'm not saying you have to race everybody, because I don't condone racing in the streets. Take it to the racetrack or a drag. But you're gonna have to have a lot of self-control not to race everybody. Just because it's going to happen. They're gonna want to race you. So those are a few tips that I can tell you on how to drive a Hellcat. So let me think about other ways. One other thing is that you have to understand that if you're driving it on sport mode, you're going to use up a lot of gas. So if I drove around for an hour today making this video and I'm on sport mode, I'm most likely going to have to gas up again, just because I don't like going down lower than half a tank. I gas up right away when I'm half a tank. It uses a lot of gas. Right now I'm averaging 14.2 miles per gallon, because last night I drove long distance and I was using the auto mode and I wasn't getting on it. I was just cruising. But if I start getting on it, it definitely is going to use up a lot of gas. So that's, you know, how you drive this vehicle, with a lot of respect and with a lot of thought on your driving skill. Because if you drive it normally, you don't go crazy, it just drives like a normal car. It's just a little bit stiffer steering, it's a little bit louder, it's got a supercharger whine, suspension's a little bit stiff, but other than those, it drives like a normal car. It's just that you have to have the self-control of your right foot on the go pedal to make sure you don't end up in the ditch or you don't end up crashing it. There's really, if you had to take away two things in this video, is that respect, the power, and self-control. If you have both of those, you'll be easily able to drive the Hellcat. that's, you know, my tip for you guys in how to drive this car. It's an absolute fun car to drive, because if you just want to drive like a boring person, you can put it on auto mode. It gets a little quieter, it gets comfortable, the steering wheel is relaxed, suspension is soft, and the seats are super comfortable. These seats are comfortable. I mean, it's like a couch, it's like a recliner, it's like a lazy boy, heated, vented. So it's a super comfortable ride. But then again, you switch to sport mode or custom mode or track mode, now you just increase it to 20 times crazy, right? So in that respect, if you want to drive in that manner, you better know your skill. You better make sure you can handle that, because the more you give it, the more this car will give it to you. The more you press the accelerator, it's gonna keep going. Heck, it's gonna keep going to 200 miles per hour. It's just like that. It's fast. It's, you know, the torque is just continues to give, because that supercharger will just keep whining and giving you that power that you're asking it to give you. And if you look down, you're going crazy speed, go to jail type of speeds, and you don't want to be that. So in short, if you want to just have a little bit more fun and in short bursts, you can do that. But make sure you can handle the car, because again, this is a rear-wheel drive car and it will step out on you. The difference between this and a Mustang when it steps out is that it's a long, heavy car. So when it steps out, it can be easily recovered if you know what you're doing. You know what I mean? Because of its weight and its length, it can easily be recovered by letting off the gas and correcting your steering. Don't overcorrect, just slight correction, or maybe sometimes don't even. Just let off the gas and it will correct itself. One technique that tip I can give you if you want to have fun with this car, so you're cruising along on 5th gear, 6th gear, and then you want to go, you know, accelerate quick or pass somebody quick, you just double tap the accelerator twice, double tap like this. It will downshift. If I was on gear 4 and when I double tap, it went to gear 2. So it will recognize that you're trying to race or you're trying to accelerate hard, and it will go down to the right gear, which is awesome. Or you can paddle shift it. So those are the few little tips that I can tell you when driving this Hellcat. So hopefully this video was enjoyable, and I know this is not for my viewers who already own Mopars and Hellcats. They know how these cars behave. These are for the younger guys. About 40% of you guys in my viewing is around 25 to 35 years old. So maybe you haven't driven a high horsepower car, a Scat Pack or a Hellcat or a GT350 or what have you. These cars just command a lot of respect. So that's things that you have to keep in mind. Respect the power and respect your own abilities, your own skills to be able to drive this car. So hopefully you enjoyed this video. It's quite long.